Hello and welcome. Welcome to Little Likac podcast episode 64. My name is Amanda and I'm coming to you from Derby in the UK. This is a knitting and sometimes crochet podcast, and I'm here to talk to you all about what I've knitted recently, what I am currently knitting, and maybe what I'm going to be knitting in the future. So yes, a very warm welcome to all the new subscribers. We've had quite a lot of people join the community while I have been working on the 12 cast-ons, and today I have got a couple of finished objects to show you, items that I finished before I start all the crazy cast-ons. I have got some cast-ons to show you. I'm not going to go through all 12, and no acquisitions. So yes, you can find me on Ravelry as Likac66, and we do have a Ravelry group for this podcast, and I will talk a little bit more about that later on when I talk about our make-along that we're currently doing. You can email me at littlelikac@gmail.com, and you can find me on Instagram as littlelikacyarn. Oh, right, after that introduction, I need a bit more coffee. So yes, today is Sunday the 7th of January 2024. It is about 2:45 in the afternoon, so we are losing the light. So I decided I needed to film this quickly this afternoon. Time has run away with me this weekend. I had planned to podcast yesterday. Can't think why I didn't. Just too lazy. No, can't remember why I didn't yesterday, what I was doing instead. And then this morning or today we have taken the youngest daughter back to Sheffield University, Sheffield Helen University actually. Taken her back there today. So that's it. Both the girls are gone, although having said that, the youngest daughter will be back briefly next weekend, and then the weekend after that we're going to go up to Sheffield and take her out for dinner for her birthday. So we see the younger one a lot still, although she may be at university. We still see her a lot because she's only about an hour to drive away. It's only half an hour on the train for her to come home, so we see her quite a lot still. So I've mentioned the 12 cast-ons. Let me just briefly explain what that was about. Over Christmas and New Year period, the 12 days of Christmas, although I started it on Christmas Eve rather than Christmas Day, over the 12 days, starting on Christmas Eve through till, what date was it, about the 4th of January, I cast on a new project every day. Now, to prepare for that, I had cast off a lot of things, and I did cast on one new thing about a week or so before then as well. But I'd really cut down on how many projects I'd got on the go so that I didn't feel overwhelmed by casting on 12 new things. I really enjoyed it, so I did a little 10 to 15 minute video for each one, basically me talking about what I was going to cast on, showing the yarn, in some cases winding the wool, casting on, etc., and then showing you how much progress I'd made in the course of that day. So all of those videos are available for you to see. You just need to look up go to my videos, more of my videos, and you'll see them all, Little Likac 12 cast-ons. Now that's not my make-along, that is part of a make-along run by Ange at Yarn and Yarns, and I have linked her YouTube channel on all of those videos as well. So credit where credit is due, not my idea, but I love that idea and I kind of feel like I may do it again. So yeah, the only time when it began to feel a little bit overwhelming was when I had to go back to work those last couple of days. So I plan, at the moment, I would say I would do it again next year, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the 12 days would not take me into when I return back to work. But actually I really enjoyed it because these were all things that I wanted to cast on. And in fact I could have probably kept going for a few more days. The only thing that I guess was frustrating though was there were some things that I was really enjoying working on and I had to kind of put them to one side. So okay, let's talk about though what else was finished, other finished objects since I last saw you 2 weeks ago. But actually the first finished object I'm going to show you is something I finished back in September, maybe October time, because it was the Advent wrap that I was knitting. This was a design by Penny Baker Knits, that she had designed especially to go in my Advent calendar this year, and you can now buy it as well. So you can now buy this design. It's called the Enchanted Delight wrap, and I knitted on this through sort of September, October time. so that we could take pictures of it and have it all ready and tested when the pattern was given to everybody who had bought the advent calendar. But obviously I couldn't show it to you because it would have then been a spoiler for those advents. Okay, so these are just some of the colours. These were the first colours actually. Now the Enchanted wrap, no, the Enchanted Delight wrap. It's called Enchanted Delight because it's Penny took some ideas from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe as well, which is what my advent calendar was based on. And so Turkish Delight is one of the things that features in the book. The White Queen gives Edmund, who turns out to be a bit of a traitor, gives him Turkish Delight, which kind of almost drugs him and hypnotises him with it. And then so she took the delight word from that, and then Enchanted because she just wanted some kind of magical inspiration. So it's made a very, very long wrap. Now I know Penny is busy as well actually converting this into a blanket pattern as well, and I think it would make an absolutely gorgeous blanket. So let me just show you the colours for the advent from me. Started with this one. This is going to be back to front, so let me just... And I will post a few pictures that we took. So my friend Kate, Penny and I, we went out together at the end of October and took pictures. So here we go, we've got colour 1, colour 2, colour 3, colour 4, colour 5, colour 6, colour 7, colour 8, colour 9, colour 10, 11, 12, 13. Hopefully it was 14, I think, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So you see, I think that's right. So you can see that you have a combination of garter stitch ridges and this really pretty lace pattern. So it is incredibly long as a wrap. You can obviously adjust the pattern. I actually liked, from my point of view, I really liked the way each colour was building a section. So I stuck with it like that. But if you wanted to make it wider, you could, and shorter. And as I say, I know Penny is busy working on a blanket version as well, which is just going to be lovely. So absolutely thrilled with it. I am going to be honest and say, if I knitted it again, perhaps I think I would change the dimensions of it for me. It is massive as a wrap, but having said that, it is lovely. I was going to say, you know, I can use this down here. I'm going to probably keep it down here and use it as a wrap, because it gets quite cold down here in this office, and just wrap it all the way around me, or pop it on my knee if I want to. So, or you could use it as a massive shawl. Absolutely huge shawl. That would certainly keep you warm, wouldn't it? So yeah, I finished this back in the middle of October, and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to show you it all properly. So I am going to pop some pictures as well of us taking photos of it. So yeah, that's the Penny Baker Enchanted Delight wrap, and it's really lovely and simple to knit as well. Once you get into the rhythm of it, it's great. So if you've got an advent that you're not sure what to do with, take a look at that pattern. As I say, it's on sale now as well. Okay, so that was finished a long time ago but couldn't show you. Another item that I finished though just before Christmas was, and I'd almost finished this last time I saw you. I think I just had buttons to sew on maybe, or finished sewing it up. Yeah, I just needed to finish sewing it up, and I have now. I think it looks gorgeous. So this is a lovely little cardigan knitted in a chunky yarn, and the yarn is Woolcraft Pebble chunky, and just think it's really, really pretty. I did this in size 6 to 12 months. I think the buttons I've put on look lovely with it. These are old buttons that I bought probably 20 years ago, when my eldest was a baby, so maybe slightly over 20 years ago. She's 21 now, in fact. And so yeah, but you know, sometimes things stay in your stash for a long time and then they are just the perfect thing. And so this pattern is a Sirdar pattern, Sirdar Snuggly Chunky 3934. And I just love it. Came out really well. I played yarn chicken with it. Didn't have an awful lot left, but just about got it all done. Right, I'll stop showing it to you. It was knitted in pieces, very sort of traditional. Had to concentrate because although it's kind of a basket weave style, did have to concentrate as I was knitting it. It wasn't a mindless knit. It wasn't tricky, but you did have to watch what you're doing. Okay, so those are my finished objects. But I'm going to show you a work in progress that I did have on the needles last time I saw you. Just look down at my little pile here because I know I brought it down. I've just been knitting on it. Oh, it's right here. In my knitting chickens bag. Okay, so this project is a pair of socks. Now, I will be honest and up front, there's a few pairs of socks to show you this time. And I had started this pair of socks 2 weeks ago. So my husband and I went to Nibbles, Needles and Hooks, where the lovely Liz runs her shop with a cafe. And I took my husband, said, look, there's cake. Because I wanted him to buy a bag for me, which he did buy, which I'll be able to show you. I wanted him to buy me a little bag as a Christmas present. But I also said to him, look, there's loads of sock yarn. What you've been sort of saying that you'd like a new pair of socks. Why don't you choose a yarn that you like? And so this was the yarn that he chose, which is Opal Country in the colourway Howdy. And you never know really how these things are going to knit up, even though it shows you on the ball band. It's not always very clear to see. But I've paired this with a green yarn that was in my stash. I had some leftovers. Cygnet Woolrich in green. And I should have put this on a blocker, but I haven't. So there we go. I have finished the first sock. First sock is finished and it's looking great. Love the green with it. I think that's worked out really nicely. So last time you saw it, I was up to here and it had a Christmas stitch marker on it because I showed this to you just before Christmas. I've dropped, I think I've got there maybe a dropped stitch. Is that what I've got there? No. Oh, I think what happened was I started to knit the toe and then was worried that it was too short, so I actually ended up ripping the toe back and putting in this extra. So I think that is to remind me maybe that I've got some ends to sew in there. If I turn it inside out, I think I've got some ends to sew in because I put in some extra rows. So I think that's actually come out really nicely. Husband likes it, that's the main thing. It's not pooling, and it looks pretty good. So I've started the second sock straight away. I went back up to Liz's I say straight away. Anyway, I started the second sock. I went back up to Liz's on my way home from work last week, and I was having a little look. I didn't buy any yarn. No, I didn't buy any yarn, but she'd got some stitch markers, and I was having a little look at the stitch markers and suddenly saw this one, which is a cowboy boot. And it made me laugh because obviously this yarn is called Howdy, and it's the style is country, and you can see it's kind of got cowboys on it. So I said, I need to buy that stitch marker. It's actually a progress keeper, in fact. So I'm going to put it on now as a progress keeper rather than a stitch marker. So to mark where I've got to. So when you see it in 2 weeks' time, in the next podcast, we'll see how much progress I've made on this. Yeah, cute little stitch marker. So I'm knitting that on 2.25mm needles, 72 stitches, so it's a bigger size for my husband. 2x2 rib for however many rows, probably about 20 rows I think that is. Slip stitch heel and gusset. That's how I knit my socks, that's how I like to knit my socks. I know there are lots of other heels, but I've only tried a couple of other heels. I find these fit me fine, they fit my husband fine. I'm quite happy doing heel flap and gusset, so yeah, okay. I've done German short row heels, don't particularly like doing them, don't particularly like the way they fit on me. And I've also done, is it called a peasant heel? A bit like an afterthought heel. Really don't like that, how that sits on my foot either, so more than happy to do the heel flap and gusset. I enjoy doing the heel flap. I enjoy getting to that point. I always feel like it's like the halfway point, so I have no issues with turning the heel, slipping the stitches, picking up stitches, things like that. Doesn't bother me. Okay, right, so now I'm going to show you what I cast on and that I'm going to carry on working on in January. So if you want to see the entire 12 cast-ons, then as I say, there's a whole series of videos for each one. But I then had to think about, right, what do I need to prioritise? Which of these do I want to carry on working on, or which of these do I need to carry on working on? And a couple of them are priority because they've got deadlines. So let's start with the one that's perhaps the most pressing. And this was actually cast on number 4. So I cast this on the 27th of December when we were at my mum and dad's house. And it's the Musselburgh hat. And the reason why that this is a deadline is because I am knitting it for my daughter's boyfriend for his birthday. And we are going to see him with her in 2 weeks' time, which will be just after his birthday as it happens. Their birthdays are very close together. So she requested a hat that would be suitable for him. He works on construction sites, and so I thought Musselburgh hat was a pattern I've been wanting to cast on. I'll add that into my 12 cast-ons. It wasn't on my original list. I had some yarn that I had been considering doing a Musselburgh hat with for quite a while. And this was some sock yarn that I bought in a D-stash off of eBay a long time ago. And it was originally an Aldi yarn. Just trying to see if it says it on here. And it's Cesana sock yarn. And the reason why I hadn't then used it for socks, I bought 3 skeins of it, thinking 150 grams would be really good if I was making my husband a pair of socks, because sometimes, you know, 100 grams might not be enough. But then I read some reviews saying it felted and didn't stand up to washing. So then I was umming and ahhing what to do with it, just to throw it away. And then I actually thought, well, a hat, you don't wash hats very often. Now, not every review said that this felted, but some did. And so anyway, I decided to risk it. And I've just started the second ball, and we have got this much done. And I did get my daughter to measure her boyfriend's head, so we know what size to do, and we are doing the adult large size. To begin with, it started off really nicely with these little stripes. Then we had a little bit of pooling, and where I had got to on day 1 of knitting this was just after the pooling, and it had just started to go into these stripes. So I decided, well, I showed it to my daughter as well. I said, look, it's now going to stripe like that. So this bit is only the top of the head. And she was like, no, that's fine. I really like it. I think he'll like it. So that will be on the top of his head. And then this will be coming down the side. Now, we've got a random bit there because I discovered I have dropped a stitch. So that is going to need some repair work doing. I am not going to be able to pull all the way down and put it up. So what I'm going to have to do is just repair the hole, pull it up a few rows, and then just sew it into the inside of the hat. So not quite sure how that happened. It obviously happened quite a while ago. No way am I putting back all of that. So I'll just make it work. It won't be a problem really. So yeah, we're on the second ball. If you don't know about the Musselburgh hat, where have you been? Loads of people have knitted this over the last few years. But it's a design by Ysolda Teague. But it is, what's the word I want? Kind of based around a traditional style of hat that was made, I believe, for fishermen. Not sure why she's called it Musselburgh. Trying to think if it's the name of a place, can't remember. Anyway, so it's the Musselburgh hat, and what you actually do is you knit a very, very long tube, starting with increases, then you knit for in this case, about 1/2 metre, and then decrease. And then what you can do is you can actually then pull it in between. It's hard to explain when I'm only this far, but it basically wraps inside itself, so it's like double thickness. Some people also do half in one yarn, half in another, and then it's also like you can reverse it. And somebody suggested that I could do that with this, which I could do, but I actually kind of want to use this yarn, and so yeah. So I've got some needle stoppers, and there's my stitch marker. This is just where the amount that I knitted yesterday. I'm trying to keep track each day because I need to knit probably 2 or 3 centimetres on it every day to finish it in time. So I'm sort of like, it's a mindless knit, which is quite good sometimes, but equally it can then get a bit boring. So I'm just checking to see. Also, because it is black and grey, if you're knitting it in the evening, if you do drop a stitch, it can be difficult to see. Yeah, so I'm just looking on the inside here thinking I've dropped another stitch, but I haven't. It's just looking a bit wonky. So yes, so that's just what I knitted on it last night, so I need to change that. Now this needs to be finished in the next 2 weeks, and then we'll be gifting it, and I don't know if I will be recording the podcast before I gift it to him. So what I will probably do is when I have finished it, I'll just record a little bit of it finished, and then so that I can wrap it and take it with us. I'll probably be filming the next podcast on the day that we're going to go up and see them, I expect. So yeah, Musselburgh hat, really, really pleased with how that is striped. If he ends up washing it and it shrinks, I'll knit him another one. So, just can't imagine that people wash their hats very often. I mean, I know I don't. I know I don't wash my hats. And even though he's working on a construction site, I can't imagine that he washes hats. As I say, if the worst happens and it turns out it's shrunk, I'll just make him a new one. Okay, so that will be worked on over the next couple of weeks because it has a deadline. Now, something else. This is going to be worked on because deadline for this is the end of the month. So this was cast on number 9, and it was cast on the 1st of January. And it's the Your Socksy and You Know It Make Along socks. So this Socksy and You Know It Make Along is the make along that I am running this year, all the way through the year. And you're probably sick to death of me talking about this, so I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail, but just in case you are new to the channel, there is a make along running. If you go to the Ravelry group, the little Likac podcast group on Ravelry, there is a thread for it. There is a chatter thread and there's a finished object thread. If you want a chance of prizes, then you definitely need to put your a picture of your finished socks in the finished object thread. If you can't access Ravelry, if you send me a picture of your finished socks, I will put it in the thread for you. I've also said that if you share something on Instagram with the hashtag SocksInYouKnowIt, MAL, make along, if you share a project on there with that hashtag, or if you put it in Ravelry, I'm going to assume then you're happy for me to share it on here, unless you state otherwise. We haven't got any finished objects yet, I don't think. I'll double check when I'm editing. If there are any finished objects, I might pop some pictures of them on here. So yes, so on the 1st of September, it was 1st of January, I was actually really excited because I genuinely could not remember what yarn I had got for this month. And it was all wrapped up. If you want to watch me open it, it was day 9 of the 12 cast-ons, so if you go to that video you'll see me open it and show the yarn in detail and talk about it. But I was genuinely surprised, and I was a little bit confused myself because I had got this colour as my contrast yarn to go with this colour as my main, and I was a little bit, oh we've got red with purple. But oh my goodness, it's looking amazing. Now, somebody did leave a comment saying I would have chosen purple to go with this. Yeah, probably so would I. However, as I recall, there's an awful lot of socks this year will have purple as a contrast colour anyway. So this was just knitting up so quickly because I'm knitting it on 2.5mm needles, vanilla sock pattern. This is for me, 60 stitches because I'm doing it on 2.5mm, and I'm hoping it's not going to be too big. If it is, well, this pair will just be a little bit too big, I'll wear them around the house or whatever, and I might rethink and readjust what I do next month. But I love how this is coming out. So all the yarns that I'm using for the make along this year for me are self-striping yarns. That doesn't mean you have to use self-striping, but that's just how the way I've done it. And they're all self-striping and they're nearly all commercial. There's a few that are not commercial yarns, and they've nearly all, 11 out of the 12 have got purple on them as well. Purple is my favourite colour. So yes, look how beautifully that is knitting up. Now I say it's self-striping, as I said on the vlog for the when I cast this on, it's not as crisp clean lines that you get on some self-striping, but if you look you can quite clearly see you've got purple, blue, red, green, blue, purple, blue, red, green, etc. So they are stripes, and I actually love how it's coming out with this red contrast. It's, yeah, really bright red. So this is where I had got to on day 1. On day 1 I had got the whole of the leg done and the heel flap as well, and then I've been knitting on this a little bit here and there, and I worked on it quite a bit yesterday as well. So I need to have this finished by the end of the month because I want to cast on a new one for February. Sorry, I'm just going to put in the progress keeper, so when we see it in 2 weeks, hopefully it'll be a finished object in 2 weeks. It may or may not be though, because obviously I've got the Musselburgh hat that has to be finished by then. So just pop the progress keeper in there. So I'm what, halfway down the foot, maybe more than halfway on the foot, so shouldn't be very long to finish the first one. I'll use the red for the toes. Now the yarn that I'm using, this red is a Stylecraft Head over Heels sock yarn. Can't remember the colourway, it is one of their sort of like Christmas colourways. And the purple one is another Opal yarn. And I believe it's called George, yeah. Now you'll see on here, to me the striping on that looks more, that's what I want, looks more what? More vivid, clearer stripes, and it's actually knitting up, but it is knitting up in stripes, so we're all good, we're all good. So yes, I am enjoying knitting on this. I love with striping yarn, I just love how quickly it knits up, because you're constantly, I'll just finish this section, or I'll just get that bit done, and I just find it, they fly off the needles. The fact that I'm using 2.5mm as well, whereas normally I use 2.25, so it just feels like they're knitting up really quickly. So they need to be finished by the end of January, so that I'm ready to open my next parcel on the 1st of February. It's quite exciting, because again, no idea what's in the February one. No idea. Okay, let me just finish this coffee if I haven't already, because it'll be cold by now. I've been chatting for half an hour. Okay, so what else am I going to work on in January? I am also going to work on this. This is 75% finished, so hopefully this will get finished very soon, probably next weekend. So this is number 6. This is the Hot Spiced Cider Cowl by Helen Stewart. So if you want to know more about this and the yarns that I'm using, etc., check out the Day 6 vlog. Now what I am thinking is that this is not going to use anywhere near as much of the yarn as I thought it would. I'm going to have quite a lot left over, so I'm thinking I might do some little fingerless mitts as well, some wrist warmers or fingerless mitts to go with this. So it's looking absolutely gorgeous, and I have found this quite addictive. So I am 3/4 of the way through. Now I didn't put in a progress keeper at the end of the first day, but I seem to recall I had done about the first lot of eyelets, first lot of pearl bumps. I think I'd done about that much. And then I have worked on it on some other days as well. Now I am going to put in a progress keeper. I'm going to use my little cake, which is from Chapel View Crafts. She makes the most amazing stitch markers. So pop that in here so that we know where I was at the next time you see it. Now the yarn I'm using for this is from a company called Sable Yarns, who have just finished, closed their yarn dyeing now. And the colourway is Purple Rain, and it's a DK weight. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And I got that in there when they were reducing everything very heavily at the end of the Yarndale show. And I have still, so the pattern is by Helen Stewart, and the pattern said you needed 2 skeins of DK. Well, I'm 75% of the way through and I haven't finished the first skein yet. I've still got all of that of the first skein. So I'm really not convinced this is going to use 2 skeins. I'm holding most of it with this purple mohair, which is from Yarn Garden. But every so often I'm holding it with this sparkly mohair, which has got little beads and stellina in. So as I say, I think I'm going to be left with quite a bit, maybe nearly a full skein. So I'm probably saying I'm going to do some wrist warmers or some mitts or gloves with it, with the leftovers. So I've got that on the list for January because I think it will be a quick finish, and also because I want to use it, I want to wear it while it's still cold. So plan is to get that one finished. Pretty. I really would like to have that one finished by the next podcast. Oh, I've left that sitting out. The yarn is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And I'm knitting it on 5mm needles. Okay. On a similar vein, I have another cowl here. So once I finish the Hot Spice Cider cowl, I don't know if I'm going to make any progress on this between now and the next podcast, but it's certainly in my I would like to finish in January list. Partly as well because it is part of a make-along for Betwixtmas, the idea that you knit something between Christmas and New Year. Now I think I'm about 30% through this. I definitely haven't done any more on it since the first day. I now cast this on the 5th of cast this on as cast on number 5 on the 28th of December, and it's the Betwixtmas Cowl by Sarah Hatton. Now the pattern also comes with wrist warmers. Now because I'm using slightly different yarn to what's suggested, I don't know, I think it's coming up about the right size, but I might need to do a little bit of maths to make sure that if I do the wrist warmers as well, that it's going to come up at the right gauge. So the yarn that I'm using for this, I'm going to use 4 different balls of yarn, because you hold 2 together and then it's colour work, so then you're holding 2 together for each one. And I have not got the labels with me, but I know this is the Drops Nord, which is 4-ply with Alpaca, and that this is the Drops, can't remember, it's the Drops Suri, it's the one with Alpaca, not mohair. It is knitting up so beautiful, so soft and squishy. So I'm hoping, put a progress keeper in, I am hoping that I will get to work on this in January as well, because again I would love to wear it in January. So progress keeper put in. This was the bag that I got for Christmas from my husband, that I dropped with very unsubtle hints that I wanted that bag. So let's pop all that away. So those are going to be priority. I've got another pair of socks here, but I think I'm going to put those to one side because I don't think they're going to get worked on all the time I'm working on all of these other things. But I will just show you one more thing that I've done a lot of work on as well since I cast it on. And so I cast this on Christmas Day, cast on number 2, and it's the Litmus Cowl. And I've just done so much of this because this has been a really good one as well. If I was working on one of the colour work projects, for example, then in the evening I either did a bit more on the Musselburgh hat or a bit more on this. I absolutely love how this is knitting up. So this is the Litmus Cowl, and it is the yarn I'm using was from a swap advent calendar that I did with Nancy in America last year. She also did it all on the Winnie the Pooh theme, and she also made me this gorgeous Winnie the Pooh project bag. So thank you so much, Nancy, you're so talented. And I'm using this as my contrast colour, and then I organised, if you look at, again, watch the video, you'll see I organised all of the minis into the order I wanted to put them into the cowl. And oh my goodness, this is looking amazing, and I'm finding this so easy to work on. Doesn't it look absolutely fantastic? Just so pleased with how this is knitting up. And stitch marker I'm using there is one that came with the advent that Nancy made me. It's like honey. So that is working brilliantly. I think I'm on colour 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I've done 7 colours. So the next one will be the 8th. So I haven't got the 8th one in here actually because it's back in the house because it needs to be wound into a ball. For each stripe of colour, I'm doing 10 rows, which is probably only about 5 grams. So I am going to have, at the moment, I've got about 5 grams left on each one. So I've got to think, maybe I do another Litmus Cowl. I don't know. Don't know what I'm going to do with the other. I need to weigh it and just double check as well. But I think I've still got about 5 grams of each one. Isn't it amazing though? Love that. So, thank you, Nancy. I'm going to keep this up in the house as another project, just to kind of pick up and work on if I've been doing something that's quite focused. And probably after the Musselburgh hat, this will then become the kind of go-to mindless knitting in the evenings. So that's a bit of a marathon, wasn't it? There's quite a lot to show you there. I have got no new acquisitions. I did not get given any yarn for Christmas. I did get given a lovely crocheted bag that my daughter made for me. So the only thing I got given yarn related or knitting related was that bag that I'd specifically asked for. So I've got no new yarn. Now I am definitely not saying I'm not buying any yarn this year. Never say that. But last year I started trying to track what I was finishing and using up and what I was bringing in. And I was using a spreadsheet that was a shared spreadsheet. And then the person who was kind of organising that and updating it each month, there was, for some reason, it didn't get updated for a little while. And then I got out of the habit of putting the information in. So by the end of the year, I do not know if I knitted more than I bought, or if I bought more than I knitted. I suspect, given the amount I bought at Yarndale, I probably bought more than I knitted. Although I did get rid of quite a lot, or, you know, I did use quite a lot. But anyway, who knows? So this year, I do want to try and track that. I would like to have more gone out of stash than has come into stash by the end of the year. We shall see. We shall see. Anyway, if you want more information about what else I cast on over the 12 cast-ons, do check out those videos. I want to work on everything. I want to work on everything. There are still plenty of those projects that I just want to work on. So there's part of me that wants to get through, get a few of these things finished, so I can start working on some of the other things. Have to admit, if I didn't have the deadline of my daughter's boyfriend's birthday, the Musselburgh hat would not have had anywhere near as much work on it that it's had. But it's probably good though. It's probably good that there are deadlines on some of those things. Right, okay, so my lovely people, I will see you in a couple of weeks' time. Let's see the progress I've made on those. Let's see if my attention has drifted and I've picked up something else that's already cast on, or even worse, if I cast on something new. Right, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Give this video a little thumbs up and leave a comment if you would like. I appreciate all the support. Thanks everybody. Bye.